All right, welcome back to the Last Week This Week podcast, episode 40, dude.
40.
The big 4-0.
We've only are possibly going to miss 12 episodes, 12, 13 episodes that we normally would be if we did this every week this year.
You're right. We started off strong this year and we've tapered off a little bit, but big 40 is an accomplishment.
Big 40. Yeah, I agree. 40,
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing.
Nice. But yeah, we're excited to be back here today. I'm Ian Scott.
And I'm Zack Huber.
And this is the podcast where we talk about nerd topics and shows and movies from the past week and this week, but it might be more like the past month and this month. But kind
of a November recap.
Yeah, I'd say so. But yeah, I think this week we have a Loki review we want to kind of catch up on.
All of Loki season 2.
Yeah, all of Loki season 2. We have a bunch of trailers we want to discuss.
All that dropped at Comic-Con Brazil.
Yeah. And then we have some Star Wars news we want to cover and some DC news. So
we do.
Yeah, get strapped in and get prepared.
Yep. So we're gonna start with Loki season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll do non-spoilers before we get into spoilers. And I'll just say
sure, yeah.
that I started off with this season not really being in love with it, and I was kind of critical of it. And I think that I still have some criticisms about it.
Did you end that way too?
But I really, really liked this season. And
okay.
I thought that it's some of the best material that Marvel's made in a little while, and at least in terms of character development and just kind of even just tone wise, some like a series or characters having a unique tone that's not it still fits within the MCU, but it's very much uniquely its own thing, that when you hear like the Loki theme songs, it's very much like it has its own identity.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it was a really strong season. I think it ties the first season up. So 1 and 2 are kind of this big overarching story that I really liked. And
yeah, you could really play that all as like one season if you want to look at it that way.
So I am curious to kind of watch the first season again someday and kind of watch it all the way through, because I might even get more enjoyment out of it that way.
I think it would be more fun, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, I really liked it. Last episode I was actually just talking about it like with my girlfriend. She hasn't seen it, but I just kept saying like, man, like that was really good. I'm really surprised. And just like how
like Marvel actually did it.
Yeah, like and it was kind of sad too. There was like a sadness in it, and we can talk about the larger.
Oh, you mean the last episode?
The last episode.
Yeah.
But it was sad in a way that was earned, and it was necessary in a way, and it felt really good. But yeah, anyways, we can get to like the other things that I was going to get to. But what did you think about it?
Yeah, I think I started off stronger than you. Like the first part of the season, I was like this time slipping, and like the fact that it kind of diverted you from thinking it was going to be like this multi-dimensional story into a time travel story was like, I loved it. And I thought like Obi was great, and then they them introducing like Victor Timely later on in the season I thought was pretty amazing. And Jonathan Majors, you can say what you want about him, but that was a great performance, I would say. And
I wasn't crazy about him when he first showed up. I wasn't crazy about the Victor Timely like stutter and kind of weird quirkiness, and then he's also a con man. sort of thing. I wasn't totally into it, but by the end, I was pretty sold.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then just I think they just built upon all the characters so well in this series, like the season 2, I would say, because like they fleshed out characters I didn't really expect, like Miss Minutes or like and
crazy.
somewhat Ravonna. I mean, they gave her a ton of backstory.
You think they did? I feel like Ravonna was like kind of one of them.
I mean, she was like fully explained, it feels like to me, like where she came from, what she did before all this.
I guess we'll have to get into that because I don't know if I feel the same.
Okay. But yeah, and then what it ends up doing. Yeah, I won't say too much, but like, yeah, the second, actually the final third part of this whole series is like turned on its head once something happens, and it's like it's a different kind of show again, and it's so exciting. Yeah, it's got such a sad but like beautiful ending.
Yeah,
and yeah, I like it better than season 1 probably, but
yeah, I would agree too.
Nice. So yeah, let's get into spoilers.
Let's. So let me hear what the.
Let me ask you this.
Okay. let me pose this question. What is the Ravonna like backstory stuff that you're talking about? Because I don't really feel like I got a whole lot out of her character.
You don't get all of the answers, but you get the fact that like she was his like right-hand woman basically, right? And she helped like lead all the armies and was a big deal. And then she's kind of like, you see that he wipes her memory at a certain point when everything is set in place. And you see how cold that is for Kang or sorry, He Who Remains. And but yeah, and I maybe that's not like a ton of answers, but like that is enough for me to like where she had been and what she had been doing before the TVA. And didn't we get to see where she was plucked from? Like where like He Who Remains like kind of like took her from? I'm kind of blanking on that, but it's been like a month since I've seen it.
I don't think so. I mean,
you don't think so?
We saw her drop off the TVA book back when he was first around, but I don't.
No, yeah,
I don't think we do.
Yeah, because at a certain point, like, which I was surprised, but I was happy with it that they just pruned her, like at a certain point in like episode 5 probably, and then that was it for the character.
Well, then we see that she's in that prune space with the cloud monster.
Sure, but like. I don't know. I feel like she's there for eternity now. Like that's the end of the character.
I get the feeling she's not. Like I get the feeling like she's.
No.
You might be right, but I don't know. I got this feeling that she was
another branch. Is all I'm saying.
I just get the feeling that like she looked at the cloud pruning monster, and I forget its name, and was like had this sense of like determination. Somewhat, unless that was a face of acceptance of her fate, but I got this other idea that maybe she was gonna do something.
Maybe I just read what I wanted to read from it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, that's a bummer, but
well, that's just my interpretation.
Sure, no, yeah, but it's a bummer if that is the case.
Because you'd rather her just be pruned.
I think she deserves to be at the end of time. And maybe she never dies, but maybe she just is always running from this cloud monster, and I'm okay with that.
True. I mean, and we can get into it, if they keep with the Kang story, I think she probably would come back.
Yes, I agree, but
also, I mean, it's not necessary, but I get this idea that maybe we would.
But I feel like it would be an alternate version. Maybe.
Maybe.
Like maybe there's other alternates who have her as like his right hand woman. But yeah, I feel like we should get into the greater story. We're talking a lot about Ravonna.
Well, I mean, I'm perfectly fine just talking about this particular season and story. I just we just got on the topic of like Ravonna and what like, and I obviously I've been thinking a lot about like the way they handled things with this season, and then all the news that's been coming out with what they might do with the future of the MCU.
I mean,
so
the latest thing we've heard is that there is still a script being written for Kang Dynasty. So it's in my eyes, I feel like they're gonna keep going on with this story. So I do feel like you're right in that sense that we're gonna see Ravonna again. But yeah, it's not set in stone. Who knows?
Because I mean, the way that they end this season, you could not you could, for all intents purposes, you wouldn't necessarily need to touch Kang ever again.
Yes, but that would feel like if you watched all of the MCU up to this point, it would just, and like you never saw Kang again, it would just feel so shit, like so poorly planned that you just like you can tell they're setting up this like great multiversal threat, and then it's just like, I'm just never gonna come.
I agree, but the way that everything's been handled so far,
yeah,
sure
has not been far off.
Because they're like, well, we had this one Kang get handled, and it was obviously the one from Quantumania in the newspaper or whatever.
Got beat by ants.
And he's like, well, we'll just keep track on the rest of them. But as far as they know, they don't know about the TVA. So, and like, obviously it's still open-ended enough that they could still continue on. It's just, you know, he who remains, isn't around really anymore. So.
Yeah. Well, we have a new one.
Yeah.
Technically. Yeah. So yeah, I want to get into that, to be honest. Episodes 5 and 6, after the death of Victor Timely, just kind of like that, which blew my mind. Like that was such a good ending for episode 4. Like holy crap.
And then the black screen.
Yes, like it just like the look into Loki's eyes and just like oh my gosh, man, it's just intense.
You were like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah, you're like, well, it's over, right? I mean, like that's the end of the temporal loom.
Yeah, like I can't remember the last time I was watching something and was that like kind of shocked and also didn't know what that meant.
Right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's things from the House of the Dragon, and there's probably some other shows that I've watched where but something about this was like, that feels like because it's attached to a larger universe. I was like, holy shit, what does that even mean?
Right. Yeah. But yeah, so like episode 5, it kind of starts off and it shows you that like it exploded and Loki's like the only one left. And so he starts time slipping in between like all of these, like where all his friends and are from, like in the timeline. And which I thought that was pretty amazing. I loved going to all the locations. Like I love seeing Casey break out of Alcatraz and Owen Wilson Mobius and what was that, like a little ski shop or whatever, like a jet ski shop,
water equipment store, water boat store.
Right. Yeah. And so and I think Loki's journey over that episode was amazing. Kind of realizing and then kind of unrealizing that like his journey was like to save all of his friends was for different reasons, but he also still needed to do that because the timeline and a lot of things depended on it. And then going into episode 6 where like he has full control of time slipping now is like allows him to do so much with it.
I do want to say
Uh-huh.
where it's not explained ever how
What isn't?
that the time slipping and how he's able to do any of this, like it just started happening, which
look, he's a god, it's just like he's just getting new powers here and there,
it's a very convenient power, and it's a very kind of
I guess they kind of explain it in a way like Obi makes it sound like time slipping occurs, but like never in the TVA. So yeah, I guess they don't necessarily explain that.
All I'm saying is he just kind of starts doing it this season.
Sure.
And it's never really explained, and we're just like, okay, I guess he can do that.
And now he can fully control it.
Look,
which is very cool.
Whatever, fine. Like I understand that it's somewhat following the story with Loki in the comics, where he becomes the god of stories and Agent Loki and all this stuff. Like, I understand. But also, I mean, I just want to also say, when he steps out into the chamber with the temporal loom, and Victor Timely is just like,
yeah.
I understand he's a god, but
he should have been the one.
But he could have easily been ripped apart just as easily. It's
it's possible,
but
yeah.
I still think what happens is cool, and I'm willing to suspend disbelief. It's just just because you're a god does not make you impervious to time and space, and the fabric of reality.
Yeah. I guess when you for me, when I look at like what Thor's
he
able
used to get
do,
stabbed with a knife and die, like
yeah, and Thanos did kind of like choke him out.
Yeah, like
yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I was about to say. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to say. It's kind of off track here, but I want to give praise to Obi Ouroboros in this whole season, especially in episode 5. I thought what they did with his character and like showing us where he was from, and then like making him so competent as to like, if you just gave him the book, he was gonna figure this shit out. And you're just like, holy crap! Like it's amazing. I love the performance and the character.
And he's still writing books. Just he's a failed science fiction writer.
Yeah, I love that.
And I also love that, like Loki's just is like, well, how long would it take to learn all that you know? Centuries. And then it just cuts to centuries later. And you're like, holy shit.
Yeah. I love how he how quick he has to do everything, how like impatient he is with everyone. He's just like, okay, you gotta go now.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great.
But yeah, that journey, like as funny as it is sometimes, it's so like you feel the pressure he's under. It's so serious in a way. And with every failure, like you get closer to that, that ending where he's like, it's basically the ending of season 1 again,
right?
Where he ends up back with He Who Remains. And
yeah,
he's
that was
like,
great. Yeah.
Which was, it blew my mind. I didn't expect it to go back there.
And I love that was the amazing scene where he's like, well, just come back to me after we've had this conversation a few more times. And then he's like, who's saying that this is the first time we've had this conversation? And he's like, oh,
right.
I was like, holy shit, this is cool.
Yeah. No, they did such a good job with that stuff.
And so like, I think 5 and 6 and 4, 5 and 6 do a lot to like make me really love what happens. I just kind of wish that the season was a bit longer and maybe did a bit more like a few more things, because even though I liked it, I still feel kind of bummed out that it's only 6 episodes. And I kind of feel like it was still a relatively small story where I feel like it could have gone and delved into a few more things.
If you look at it like how we looked at it in the beginning, where this is just a part 2 of season 1, then it's like, because it really is a second part like that of that story, And now if you look at it, like every other Marvel show has had basically 6 episodes, and this is if you look at it in that way, it has a 12 episode season 1. You know, that's pretty special what they did, I think. For a Marvel show, you know.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. And
Yeah.
I also want to say particularly one of the most disturbing scenes in this season happened, like in all of Marvel, which was the
Miss
the
Minutes?
box with Miss Minutes and Ravonna.
Yeah. Wait. Which scene are you talking about?
She has like that temporal box device that can like trap somebody in a box and get it smaller and smaller, and she did that to all the
that's what you're talking about. Yeah, that was
the bones
that was
crunching
insane.
and the blood.
That was yeah, I'm glad they didn't. I mean, obviously Marvel can't show something like that.
I think it's almost more terrifying that you don't see it.
Yeah, I can see that. That was a rough scene for sure. Marvel went there.
And Miss Minutes was just like looking in absolute glee.
Yeah, Miss Minutes, she's charming, but she's a psychopath.
Yeah, I didn't need them to go the route of like her being jealous. And
that's what I thought you were gonna bring up. I was like, is that the most horrifying scene? Was her like getting the hots for Victor Timely?
That was I was pretty surprised that Marvel did something like that.
Yeah.
But you know, the more that like the years go on and we're having like Echo come out and it's going to be TVMA and we're going to let Deadpool 3 be R, and it seems like they're like loosening up some of the...
They're trying to take some more risks, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, the way at the end here, the way he chooses to not just keep following the path of He Who Remains and gives the timelines all a chance is pretty spectacular. He basically sees all the timelines dying and grabs them all up and kind of makes a cape with it in a way, and sits in He Who Remains like old throne, and is just kind of sitting at the end of time, just giving life to every timeline in existence. So
yeah,
every technically piece of property in the future for Marvel is kind of Loki involved in a way.
Yes, and I really like how it was going back to, you know, I was burdened with glorious purpose, and like I will be like, I'm gonna sit on a throne, but instead of it being that he's taking a throne out of, you know,
out of conquest, right?
It's like out of sacrifice, right? And doing it out of wanting to let his friends and other people, you know, be able to live. And he gets what
he always wanted, you know?
He does, but he's you know, he's lonely and he's sad, and it's probably not going to be the best thing in the world just being at the end of time, holding everything together. No one will talk to you. And I did also like that the whole timeline kind of turned into the world tree with all the realms and everything.
That was great. Yeah. The imagery at the end of that season was like, that's got to be like an all-time like top 10 moment for Marvel. It like, in my eyes, it feels so like impactful and like visually beautiful, you know?
The scene that like gets me the most, and I agree with what you're saying, but the scene that gets me the most, and I think about it like a lot lately after seeing it, I don't know if it was shot, like if what lens they were using or how they did it, but it definitely felt like they were on location somewhere. And it was Mobius, where he was talking to Sylvie, maybe, and he's watching
Oh yeah, his kids. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
watching his kids with his other with his version, but it's not him. And it's
Right.
like an up close shot, and it's kind of grainy, but it feels like it's in like a indie movie or something. And he's just like, no, I'll just wait here and let time pass by. And he was so like,
Yeah.
he was so like, yeah, like time is actually happening. And there was just something about like the sadness of knowing like Loki's gone and like he's watching a time period or a version of his life that he's not living, but he's also feeling the movement of time. And like
Right.
it was the whole point of the show was for things to be able to go on and
Yeah, no,
happen.
that's a great moment. I didn't even think about that.
I just
but it's
like
so poetic.
that. Yeah, I just like that he was just like standing there and he was just like, yeah, this is what the whole thing was about, was just letting,
Right.
you know, all this, be able to let anything like this happen. And
Right.
also for him to experience, you know, the passage of time because he's just been in the TVA the whole time.
Right. Yeah,
So-
and for him to experience what his actual life was like is
Right.
probably hitting him all at once.
Yeah. So I think about that scene a lot.
Sure.
And I was like, where's this? I want this more.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good Marvel, man. Wild.
And I
would've
mean
thought?
they're not. I still think Marvel has the ability to bring things together again. It's just
And
been disappointing lately.
they just have to find the right creators, I feel like, and let them actually tell their stories. And that's exciting because, like, you know, we were just talking about how they're still writing a script for Kang Dynasty. You know, the guy Michael Waldron, who wrote and created the show, is writing for both the next Avengers movies. So,
well, I thought Michael
really good
Waldron
news.
did Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
He
and
did
then-
also write that, but I thought he also wrote for both seasons of Loki.
He might have. You're right. He might have. But I think it was him, and then I guess they had the two new directors who are doing they're doing another Marvel project as well. The directors of season 2.
Yeah, it's a couple of guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess he produced 12 episodes. He's an
Okay.
executive producer of the show. But I know a lot of people love this. He's also a producer for Rick and Morty. So
Yeah, but there's also been a lot of good Rick and Morty episodes that are not written by Jeff Loveness. You know,
and he also wrote 12 episodes for Loki. So there's that.
I still am a little nervous about him writing the next Avengers movies, just because like Loki's been fun, but it's not like amazing. I think like there's still a lot of things that are.
But the story's really good. I think that's what's important.
The story's good, but there's still been things that like I like it a lot. But I'm still like kind of feel
Sure,
kind of iffy about.
It's not perfect. Right.
Not like anything's like. Not like I think like a lot of things at Marvel are necessarily perfect, but like, and then Doctor Strange, a Multiverse of Madness, I really like, but I also don't
do?
like. Yeah, I like that movie,
Okay.
but I don't love that movie, and that movie's that fulfills more of a like campy.
See, I will
like,
say the fact that he wrote that is a little scary for me because I don't think that movie is like wrote strongly at all.
I don't think it's the most strongly written movie, and I think that's partially, and I feel kind of the same about certain episodes and certain parts of Loki. So
Well, sure. I mean, I'm very critical on episode 3, season 1 of Loki.
yeah,
You know, that was a rough one. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see. But I think it's it's a better direction than the guy who wrote Quantumania.
right. I agree, and I also think out of all the people we've seen tackle the multiverse side of things in the MCU, he's got the best grasp on it than anybody else, because I was arguably more confused in Quantumania after watching that, because I was like, this doesn't seem fully fleshed out, or like I'm kind of confused who this Kang is and whatever. So
Yeah. But kind of cool to see them tie in Quantumania a little bit with that device he had that looked very much like his ship that he flew in.
Oh yeah.
I was like, okay, it's a little neat. Neat. Yeah.
I hope and pray that 5 years from now I don't go, Quantumania's aged pretty well. I just don't want that to happen.
It will never happen, Zach. I'm sorry. It's just a bad movie fundamentally.
Yeah.
It is.
It's my least favorite Marvel movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It might be, it very well could be for me if I rewatch the Thors again. We'll have to see.
Yeah. I will watch Quantumania one day again.
Yeah, it'll be a very long time from now.
We'll get our friend Ryan together and try to get him to watch it.
Oh, he's never seen it. That's right. Good for him.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, I say we get to some trailers now. That was our long Loki review.
Yeah.
Discussion.
So I don't know what you want to start with first.
You pick.
You got a preference? Okay, I'm gonna pick Fallout because that's
Let's do it.
So
yes.
So yeah, for anybody who's unfamiliar, Comic-Con Brazil happened not too long ago. I think slowly over the past few years, it's been growing as a new Comic-Con venue to kind of make big announcements. And I think arguably this year seems like the biggest year that Comic-Con Brazil's had, which is awesome because I don't know, that's great that it doesn't have to be like San Diego all the time. And I don't think that much even happens in New York most of the time. But I think what they did show for the most part, I don't think I disliked anything I saw. I think I loved almost all the different trailers I saw. I did not see the Darkhold Diaries one. I think that's like a making of. I didn't watch that.
Yeah, it wasn't a full-on trailer, but it showed some glimpses.
And we're gonna get into 3 of them. But the one I will mention that I know you didn't watch the show, but the Halo Season 2 trailer looked pretty good. And I know a lot of people bag on that show.
Yeah, I mean, Season 1 was not received well. I'm shocked it's getting a Season 2.
But I really liked that show. I really liked that first Well, you got to watch it.
I never knew that.
You got to watch it. Just try watching it. See how you feel.
I was never a big Halo guy anyways, so.
Yeah, I mean, it is very different than the game for sure.
Okay.
But if you accept that, I think it's pretty well done. And when they get to the end, I think they get to a place where I'm very excited about. But regardless, with Fallout, so Fallout is what arguably my favorite video game franchise.
Okay.
And the fact that they decided to make a show, me and our friend Ryan, we were talking about it, and I was like, Ryan, did you see the first stills they showed from the game? And he's like, I haven't been following this. Honestly, I don't care. I don't need to see another shitty video game adaptation. And I was like, I think you should look at them. And he was like, okay. He's like, all right, they look pretty cool. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I have a good feeling about this. And then the trailer came out, and I was, as a hardcore Fallout fan for many years, and it's very, very important property to me. I think I was blown away with the production value and the tone, and I just think they captured. I know it's just a trailer, and who knows what the show will be like, but even the small things from the studio that brought you The Boys and then and 2-day shipping, there's something even in that that's so it understands the darkness, but then counteracting it and the great quality with some good humor. And I have a lot of stuff I want to talk about, and I have a lot of notes to talk about it, but overall, before we get into it, I just think amazing, and I am so excited for April. I think it comes out in April.
Oh wow, nice.
So I mean, it's about 4 months away at this point.
Yeah.
And my God, it looks amazing.
I'm right there with you. I don't disagree at all with anything you said. I myself am a huge Fallout 4 fan, and I'll kind of get into why I mentioned that. But I think this show suits my taste very well. It's very centered around that aesthetic, and it's like everything is just so recognizable from the games. It's like it's everything quality wise you would want to see in a Fallout show. Like I think we talked about it like a week or two ago a little bit, but I was saying then that like I love like the quality, but I also love like the scale they're going with it. You know, like the environments are massive, and then but they're also going like so big with like story scale, with like bringing in the Brotherhood of Steel and all of their, you know, like the power armor and the Pridwin and the vertibirds, like it's all there, and it's gonna be, I think, a massive story, and the fact that it's gonna be canon to the universe is why I believe it's gonna be massive, like the story wise, and I can't wait to see all of it. Yeah, it looks incredible.
Yeah. Just real quick, talking about the it being canon to the universe, I think is a great decision.
So good.
I only got to read about half the article last night that was put in Variety about kind of Jonathan Nolan and his wife Lisa Joy, who are the co-creators of the show.
Nice.
And you know, the fact that it's a part of the lore is super exciting, because that just gets to hopefully enhance the rest, like the games, and just my overall, I get to, it's all the same. It's not like separate. I get to like have all this new information come in, and it in a way the video games are going to feed into it, that it needs to be like somewhat correct to those. I mean, I don't need it to be like dead on, but so far, like seeing like the rad roaches and the way they move and how well done they are, the yogai.
No, it feels exactly like the game. But like super detailed, real life, realism. It's great. And so I oh, my bad. Go. You want to go?
No, yeah, I'll remember what I was gonna say. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna agree with you there that like my two things with making this a canon story and an original story is that it's so much better than like remaking Fallout 3 into like a live action. Cause like,
right,
you know, like we know the story. Like, yeah, you can diverge from like that story at certain points, but like you have to kind of go back to like, you know, the path it's on. And so an original story, I think it works so much better. And then making it like a canon story, I feel like, and yes, it will help out the games eventually, but I feel like we're not going to get a game in this universe for like maybe another 10 years or so.
I don't think it'll be that long.
It might be at least 8, you know, because games take a long time to make, and the studio makes one game at the moment per life cycle, not per console life cycle, but like, you know, they work on one game collectively.
They only made 2 for the last console.
Yeah. And so, you know, the next one they're making is Elder Scrolls, and that's going to take a very long time. Like they just started, I think, early this year or last year on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
We'll see.
So I think this is gonna basically why I think this is good. I think it's gonna hold us over story wise for Fallout.
Sure.
And I think it's possible we just keep getting more and more seasons of Fallout to hold us over until the game.
Yeah, so, possibly. And what I wanted to say about like the seasons, I'm curious. Like you were saying, the scope you think is going to be big, and I think for the most part, every Fallout story's scope has been fairly large. And
for sure.
And I'm wondering if this will be like an anthology series, which is what I would really like it to be. But if we just follow the 3 characters in that are most prominently shown is Ella Purnell, who plays Lucy, the main character.
Walter Goggins.
Walter Goggins, who plays a ghoul, and then Kyle MacLachlan, who I guess is her Lucy's dad or fellow vault dweller.
Is that the one who was like looking at her through the window, like all dramatically?
I think so.
In that scene. Wow. Okay, it looked like he was going to die in that scene.
I'm
surprised he's.
There's a still shot of them like laughing and looking at something and whatnot, and he's in vault gear. So I mean,
that doesn't surprise me. That's very Fallout 3-esque. You're searching for your dad, maybe.
Maybe. I mean in the article that I was reading, like Todd Howard was like the head of Bethesda was like, we've had multiple people like, let's make the Fallout 3 story into live action. He's like, well, we've already done that, and so he's
right. Yeah.
This story, I guess, is very. He was like very impressed with, and also he very much wanted Jonathan Nolan to be in charge of it. And Jonathan's, notably Christopher Nolan's brother, who worked on like Dark Knight and Interstellar and Memento, and co-created Westworld with his wife, which I know people have weird feelings about season 3 and 4, but I heard 1 and 2 are great.
I've actually heard season 4 is pretty good.
Or maybe it's 2 and 3 that are weird. I don't know.
I think it's 2 and 3 that are weird. This is what I heard. 3 especially.
But I think for the most part, their track record's been pretty great. And I, like I said, I would love an anthology series, but if they wanted to continue with this like Lucy character and travel and do whatnot for multiple seasons, or maybe this is a 1 season thing, I don't know.
I would prefer it to be like follow that character. Like I don't necessarily need a ton of different stories like that become canon to the universe, Like, yeah, that might be nice, but I think if you want to tell a bigger story, then I think focusing on this group for a long time would be good.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, and I'm not opposed to that. I just really like the idea of being able to jump the different time periods of what happens, because that's one of the exciting things is like, this seems to be taking place between like 2 and 3 in like San Diego, because the Prydwen's still out west, and a lot of the Brotherhood of Steel is still out west. And the Prydwen doesn't get to the East Coast until like Fallout 3. So I don't know. I like that side of things. I like to be able to think that like we could go to a different part of the country and experience a new story and all that. So
that could be cool. Yeah, but I just think realistically with an anthology series, you set it up for smaller stories within that area,
I still think it can be you can tell big stories within just 1 season. I mean, they did it in the games,
Yeah, yes, but that would be very hard to contain a game to like 1 season.
I think you could totally do Fallout 3 or Fallout 4 in 1 season of TV. Absolutely.
I think it would be pretty rushed, but that's just me.
I don't know. I mean, if they can do like The Last of Us in 1 season,
which I also is my one kind of complaint with that is that it's a little rushed. It could have needed more episodes.
Okay, let's say they do like 10 to 12 Fallout episodes. Would it be rushed?
I think 12 is a good number. I think that's a nice spot to land on for a big story. Yeah.
Well, some other things.
That's just not the way TV's going. But yeah, my bad. Go on.
No. So just some other things that are interesting. That I know the Vault Boy, who has mostly been like a imagery and kind of I guess you want to say the mascot of the series. Usually, has not had any backstory, but we will be getting a backstory, which apparently was very unique and cool that Todd Howard said that they came up with.
Yeah, no, like along with that, I also love the fact like every time like they do this, I love it. But I love that we're going back to like before the apocalypse. Like we're getting to see Walter Goggins' character before the apocalypse, before he becomes a ghoul. And I don't know. I think all of that is just super interesting. Like for sure, we're gonna get. I mean, I don't think it's going to be huge to the story, but I think that little snippet of finding the origin of the Vault Boy is going to be pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be good stuff.
There was a quote from Jonathan Nolan saying the games are about the culture of division of haves and have-nots, and unfortunately have only gone more and more acute in this country and around the world over the last decades. So I think a large amount of what that's coming from is Lucy's character has apparently a lot of ideas and thoughts about the world and opinions, but that also comes from a place of she had money to go into a vault and survive everything. And then there's a bunch of people who didn't have money and ended up being ghouls and surviving in the wasteland
didn't serve the military,
or didn't serve in the military.
Yeah,
so there's that. And so I think there's going to be a lot of comments about society. So I think it's going to be a lot like how like The Last of Us started to touch on like certain topics through like a wasteland sort of apocalypse sort of thing.
Yeah,
I think this game's also going that way. And I also wanted to say that they were talking about how the humor was really important because and the style of violence, which
okay, that's cool.
And I don't know if it's intentional, but like there's a scene where Walter Goggins' character is like shooting and everything's slow-mo, and it just made me feel like I was in the VAT system, and I was like,
Sure.
That's cool.
That's very cool. That's gonna be, oh man, I can't wait.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great. They're really paying attention to every detail.
Yeah. And I'm just super excited, and I think it looks so well put together, and I think the power armor looks great. The dog
so good,
eating the hand or just killing that rad roach violently.
The creatures, I can't believe how good like the visual effects and the creatures look.
That's so good.
Yeah, like the Yao Gai bear and whatever that like yellow tentacly thing was.
Oh god,
I don't even know the
terrifying.
Yeah, the creature's name. Yeah, it all looks so amazing.
Yeah. So I can't wait. I
can't wait either.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I mean, as good as the other trailers are, spoiler alert, I mean, this might be my favorite one.
Yeah, some people were saying like House of the Dragon was their favorite. I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean,
it was good. But
we like it, but it's like we're not even talking about it because it's not that exciting. So.
Yeah, it's not the most exciting. If anything, like I was just like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll get like a really badass trailer at some point. Right. But yeah, it seems like I mean that's what happened last episode, and
and that's the logical events that are going to come.
And okay,
right, cool.
I'm still I'm still super excited, but
right, no, but I want to see the actual show, not a trailer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think next we should talk about The Boys season 4.
Yep.
Yeah. I think a lot of cool little details in this trailer. I think they're teasing a huge political season.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Victoria Newman is going to be at the heart of this, which I love. I think she's a great character. A terrible person, but a great character. And and then obviously we see the political divide with Starlight and Homelander supporters. And but I feel like maybe the biggest story is now Ryan on Homelander's side, being his son. And to me it looks like in this trailer Ryan kills somebody. So that's a little terrifying that he's going that far.
Where did you see that?
Do you remember the person who like shoved or like who pushed that guy like super far into a wall?
No.
In the trailer? Yeah, it looked like a younger person, like with blonde hair. And so it was from the back, but it felt like that's very possibly Ryan. And I was like, well, who else has that like massive amount of strength?
Right.
And is that young, So yeah, there's that. We have the fact that Black Noir is back somehow.
Yeah, I have a
I think it's
theory
going to be
about that.
a new person
Okay,
for sure. What's your theory?
you don't want to know.
Why?
Because
is it like, is it possibly true? Is that what you think, or what?
I know how the comic ends certain storylines.
Well, I mean,
And
it's
I know,
pretty different from the comics.
I know, but it could still happen. And I don't want to tell you if like, unless you really want to know, like I can tell you.
I mean, it'd be good for the podcast.
So in the story, and I guess it probably won't go this way, but it could. So Homelander is kind of confused, from what I understand, confused why Billy Butcher's like so mad at him. Homelander is still like a terrible person in the comics, but like things like raping his wife and some of these other terrible things, he's kind of like
oblivious.
He's like, I don't understand. And like Homelander eventually ends up in the White House. And
oh my God.
and and basically he also starts to have like all these bad press things happen to him, and like it seems like somebody's out to get him. And so what you discover is that there was a clone of Homelander made, and the clone is like Black Noir, and he had been doing all these terrible things to like kind of like fuck with Homelander. And then Black Noir ends up killing Homelander. And it was actually Black Noir who like did all those bad things to Billy Butcher, his like wife and everything. Yeah.
Wild. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll go there. I mean,
I know, like it probably
that's
won't.
Crazy.
But yeah,
I mean, so I also heard a theory that Gen V might tie into that, and that
into
it
what?
might be into Black Noir.
Oh,
and that the replacement is Golden Boy's brother, Sam. Because remember, Kate made him emotionless,
right,
at the end. So he's in their custody now. Homelander has him,
right.
So I think it's very plausible.
That would be crazy.
It would be crazy. And
I mean, obviously, we have even in the I don't know if it was a description through the boys or where I saw it, but it was reading like, and Billy Butcher is very well aware of the lab in at Godolkin.
But how did he? How? That's what I want to know.
Well, I mean, we saw him.
Well, yeah, but I guess I want to know. How did he figure it out before that?
Well, like in season 4, like he's aware of the lab, and I'm sure we'll find out how he became aware of the lab.
Right. Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, so he's got that side of things, and he's dying. Yeah.
Didn't they mention he has like 6 months to live?
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus Christ.
And then you got Jeffrey Dean Morgan, which is great.
Oh my gosh, he's like a top 3 actor for me, and I'm so happy he's in this.
And he's just like
so great.
So who you call yourself the Boys? Who the hell came up with that name? I
also saw a theory that he might be the secret, like Black Noir character.
Oh,
which that's just like I don't know.
Maybe
it'd be neat, but I don't know.
And then we got 2 characters who are apparently you're gonna love them, but they're absolutely the fucking worst, which is like Firestarter or Firecracker and somebody else.
Truth Bomb?
Is that the name?
I don't know. Did you remember seeing her in the trailer? Truth Bomb?
I saw one person. It was like a woman who was like, redhead.
Yeah. That's her. Like, a lot of people are thinking that she's gonna be like. I mean, obviously it's the Boys, but like the new kind of like racist, or far right person.
Yeah.
Just
Truth Bomb. Truth Bomb. Oh god, yeah, I can totally see that.
And she's wearing like red, white, and blue colors. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She's probably gonna be like a Marjorie Taylor Greene type, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That I can totally see that. And also,
because it's election season in the show. So.
God, I don't want to. And I mean that's crazy. I mean, politics is gonna be a huge thing, and also like Homelander's definitely killing a shit ton more people this time around. It seems like.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
he's just covered in blood and guts.
There's always going to be Homelander killings if it's the boys. So, you know.
But I think like he was covered in blood.
He was.
Which could be like a misdirect, but I don't know.
Like maybe somebody else did it and like somebody died in front of him.
Either that or it could be another dream sequence or but I feel like it's serious this time.
Last season, man, that dream sequence, insane. Or that not a dream sequence, but you know, like that oh God, what do you call that? Daydream sequence.
Right. Yeah.
Jeez. But yeah, that's the Boys season 4 trailer.
Right.
And it's a good one.
It's a great one.
Yeah. So last exciting trailer we wanted to talk about is Furiosa.
Right.
A Mad Max film or saga, whatever you want to call it. I mean, obviously this trailer has everything visually that you want to see from a Mad Max movie. It's got like the speed. It's got the chaoticness, the bright color. It's got these massive cities and I don't know. It's all there visually for me. It looks great. I'm excited to get I guess it's a prequel.
Yeah.
I don't even know where you would set this in like the original trilogy, but it's somewhere back there. I don't know. I'm excited to be able to like at some point watch this and then go right into like, you know, Thunder or Fury Road.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think this is going to be like a trilogy.
Is it really?
I think maybe.
Wow.
I could be wrong, but
yeah, it's funny because like I was looking at like the timeline before we had popped on to record the podcast, and it is a mess. I don't know how you can kind of like fix that with a Furiosa trilogy, but maybe they don't need to like worry about the other movies.
I don't really feel like I don't know. I don't know if people are like too terribly concerned with the timeline with the Mad Max movies. I certainly haven't been. I mean, I haven't seen 2 and 3, but you know, it's
funny because like when I was reading it, you know, like I don't know if you've seen the third. You saw the third one? Is that what you just said?
No, I've seen the first and
you've seen
and
the
then
first
Fury Road.
So the third one, it's like 15 years after the second one, and so like he's got like long gray hair, but like Fury Road is set like 30-40 years like after that, and he's like younger somehow and than he was in Thunderdome. And so it's just and then like the tattoo on his arm in Fury Road says like it's been 33 years since like the fall, and he's like, you know, Tom Hardy's in like his mid 30s there, so he would have had to have been a baby when the fall happened, which is not true to like the canon events. It's interesting.
Yeah. I think it's just nonsense. It's just like movies, and then you can choose. Like this is just like I just feel like
they're just having fun with it.
I feel like Fury Road in and itself is just like separate from the first movie, like the first 3 movies. It's just kind of a reboot in a way.
It kind of is. You're not wrong.
But getting to the trailer, so you have
sorry.
You have Anya Taylor-Joy, who's playing a younger Furiosa, who is originally played by
she looks great.
Oh God, who
Charlize
is she?
Theron.
Yeah. Well,
it's a bummer she's not playing her again.
I know, because I do think Anya Taylor-Joy is a great actress, and I do think she looks good. There's just this vibe that I got from Charlize Theron where like I really believed her to be this like badass one armed, with the mechanical arm, she really just gave this badass and capable badass feel. Whereas like Anya Taylor-Joy, I need to see the movie and maybe I'll feel differently after seeing it. But so like just in the trailer, I was like, I love you. Like I love her, but I don't.
No, she's great.
I don't know if I see her as like this badass.
Not yet. She looks insanely young for sure.
She looks young, and
she has to become a badass, I think, in this movie.
And I think the only thing is like I don't necessarily like. You never need a prequel, and hopefully it's very good, and I love it. But like I obviously know how the big fat dude with the blonde, like the white hair and
is
the
his
mask.
name like a Morton Joe?
A Morton Joe, yeah.
Yeah.
So like I already know what happens with him. It'll be interesting to see like all of that develop for sure.
I was shocked that we got him again. I was like, oh wow, we're really bringing back characters.
Well, yeah. I mean, to me, it makes sense because like they have such a fucking terrible like rival. Like they hate each other.
Yeah, that's fair.
And also, Chris Hemsworth.
Yes, I almost forgot to mention him. He looked great, and he's pulling it off really well. The craziness,
almost unrecognizable.
yeah. No, he's doing a good job.
And I like having like an Australian, in a Mad Max
an
movie.
actual Australian.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people forget that's where this is set. You know? So speaking of trilogy, by the way, what would you think about like, let's say they do like the first two movies with Anya Taylor-Joy, and then they would do like a time skip, and then you see like basically it would cut to like after Fury Road with like Charlize Theron again. Would you want a third movie with like, without Anya Taylor-Joy and with Charlize Theron again, or would you just kind of want to like finish the trilogy?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you could get Charlize Theron and it's after Fury Road, I guess I would prefer like Fury Road. But like if you're gonna do 3 movies with like, and you started off with Anya Taylor-Joy, it would feel very weird not to just continue it with Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, I could get that, but if you want to see Charlize Theron again.
When did Fury Road come out? It was like 2015?
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna
2016. Might be 2016. I know it's been 8. I know because it's coming out next year, right?
Yeah, it's coming out next year.
Yeah. So I think it's been a total 8 years since the last one or something.
Which like I remember when 2015.
Oh, okay.
So like we were getting out of high school when Fury Road came out, and so I mean that's it'll be like 9 years since Fury Road came out, and I remember when they were talking about a Furiosa movie like 2 to 3 years after that movie,
right?
And so I mean it would be great if we got more Mad Max movies, but I'm also perfectly okay. Let's hope that Furiosa is great because I'm totally okay with not getting a bunch,
but like
as long as they're very good, because Mad Max Fury Road is like is a classic.
So special. It's so special. Yeah. And that's like, to me, like I totally agree. Like more franchises need to, I think, like Star Wars kind of commented that they wanted to do this recently and make their movies a spectacle again. Like making such a huge gap in between your movies and making them this like visual chaotic like craziness every time, like you're gonna guarantee that people flock to the movie. Like it's just the way to do it.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how we can prove that we can try to
go to this.
We can try to test that hypothesis when the movie starts to come out.
I think my hypothesis will come true.
I would like for your hypothesis to come true, but I'm also like slightly nervous that like there'll be a bunch of like
the woke mob. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we gotta have
a woman.
A woman.
You can't have stories with a woman.
Why do you sound like John Lennon?
Because that's hilarious. I heard you kind of starting to sound like that, and I just kind of went with it.
John, you can't write a song about a woman.
I'm woke, John. Yeah, I know, but I think that's the trailer, right? That's what we're talking about.
I think again, great trailer. I saw. I mean, not that it can't have CGI, and not that Fury Road didn't have CGI. That arm was very CGI, and it was a little off-putting for me personally. But I hope it doesn't bother me when I watch the movie.
Yeah, that's too bad.
But that was about it.
Expected that to be a practical effect.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But it definitely looks very CGI. Which, again, like CGI, I don't have an issue with it. It just looked a bit weird, you know.
No, I feel you. But yeah, that's the trailer. And that's all the trailers we wanted to cover from Brazil Comic-Con.
Yep.
And now we'd like to talk about some Star Wars stuff. Mainly the fact that Dave Filoni got promoted to a new position where he is the chief creative officer of the Star Wars Lucasfilm section and will be overseeing every project that will... Is it just the TV shows or is it every Star Wars project?
Well, he's the chief creative officer. So he will be, from what I understand, he is narratively... I think I have a quote from it.
I know he's going to be working alongside Kathleen Kennedy a lot.
Yeah, so it's saying that, like, I was reading the article about it, and he weighs in on a narrative level while Kathleen Kennedy oversees Lucasfilm and brings other filmmakers into the fold.
Okay, so he's more TV then.
Or
maybe not.
No, he's overseeing the narrative. Like, he's overseeing all
the entire narrative. Okay.
Yes, he is he is over.
Okay,
he's
cool.
Because he was saying in the article that for the most part he would join in when things were already very much happening in a good ways and so he a lot of times would be like, well, the Jedi would be like this and the Sith would be like this, but now he gets to like really like oversee and create new, like the stories.
Yeah, he gets to be the Kevin Feige of this world.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. In my mind, Kevin Feige has his hands on every project.
Yeah, but he's still like a producer, you know, like he still has to like get the movie, like talk with the filmmakers and like get the things needed for each thing. Like, and he is he does do a lot of the story stuff too. But like, yeah, I get what you're saying. I think he's just a bit more like going to be focused on the writing.
Story wise.
Yeah.
I mean, so for the most part, I'm positive on this. Like, you know, I think there are some things recently that Dave Filoni has made that I'm not the happiest with.
Which would be
Boba Fett, Mandalorian season 3,
which is
some
not
of Ahsoka season 1.
Well, I will say in defense of Boba Fett, a lot of that, from what I understand, was they had Rodriguez, who did like the Machete movies, and he did that episode of Mandalorian where Boba Fett comes in, and we were all like really pumped. Apparently, they told him to like kind of like water down the material a bit. So I'm not, and I don't think Dave Filoni was like, was he like in charge of the
I'm
whole
pretty
thing?
sure he was oversaw. Yeah, it was him and Jon Favreau that oversaw it.
Oh, okay. Because I guess I would say like I would also put a little bit on Jon Favreau as well.
Sure, but
especially
we're not talking about
3.
Jon Favreau here.
I know, but I'm not going to put all the blame on Dave, I guess.
Sure, I feel you. But you know, he was a pretty heavy hand in those shows, and some of them didn't turn out the greatest. And so, yeah, I don't know. I guess my worry there too is that like his narrative is an exciting one that I'm pretty excited to follow at certain points, but it's a very slow narrative. And I hope he can maybe pick up the pace, or now that he's in charge of it, can really strengthen his vision. But I hope it doesn't, we don't see the opposite and it goes to like his weakest aspects of his writing and whatnot, you know?
Yeah. I think it's interesting because and to a certain extent, I understand the decision. He's been working in Star Wars since the Clone Wars movie.
Right. A lot of the fans back him because he was the mentee of George Lucas, basically.
Right. And which, to be honest, a bit strange that he gets that treatment and Kathleen Kennedy does not, when he was handpicked by George. She was handpicked by George Lucas as well to be, in charge of Lucasfilm.
Yes, but she's done some things that the fans have not loved. I'm saying, like, she's treated George Lucas in a way that fans haven't loved.
So I'm just saying,
is all we're saying.
In a certain perspective, I understand it. He's made a lot of content for Star Wars, a lot of mostly animated content that's been very popular with people. And I mean, I'm a fan of Rebels. I think Rebels is a great show. From what I understand, a lot of Clone Wars, the TV show, has done things for the prequels that is very rewarding.
Yeah.
And I think he's gotten better. Like, I think Ahsoka had a lot of highlights, and I think it has a lot of cool lore. And Rebels absolutely create a lot of cool lore, and there's things from Clone Wars that went into Ahsoka, and there's a lot of things he's done that's made people fans of Star Wars very, very happy and excited. But on the other hand, I do feel that his storytelling is kind of just about Star Wars. It's kind of, what can we do? I just feel like a lot of the stories that I see are not so much stories about a thing in particular. Because when we look at Ahsoka, I don't really know what that show is about, other than just like, wouldn't it be cool if we saw this? And then also trying to progress a story, trying to progress a universe as opposed to having a story about anything, which there's a way to do movies and TV shows.
He gets ahead of himself. Right.
Yeah. Like we get to see cool things, and there's a lot of us, and I don't want to bag on everything. Like, I don't think he's terrible. I
we liked a lot of things in Ahsoka, but there were things in there that she just wasn't the main character at all.
Right.
And you're like, why is this called Ahsoka?
And I just don't know what there wasn't like a story. There was just like, we need to get Thrawn here, so this is how we do this. And like, there was cool things that we saw. But but just storytelling wise, it's like, it wasn't. But this
is like, it's becoming a staple of their shows, unfortunately, because they did it with Mandalorian this past season. They had a whole episode where Mandalorian wasn't the center of it.
Right.
We did it with Boba Fett for 2 episodes. He wasn't the main character. It's just like, they just want to tell stories when they want to tell them, and
right.
And I think that, that's another reason to be a little nervous about it. It's a little loose here and there. I would like some more structure, but
and but so like, I was a little surprised because I would have suspected a Jon Favreau because
he's a very trusted filmmaker.
He's a trusted filmmaker. He's written a lot of his own work that's been very good. Sure. And him a little bit more than Dave Filoni, I think, was a bit more possibly responsible for The Mandalorian.
I think he was given more credit for season 1 for sure.
Right. And but I have my theories that either he's just going to keep doing his thing that he's been doing, or maybe he'll take over for like Kathleen Kennedy, because I don't think Kathleen Kennedy's going to be around for a long time. Much longer.
it feels like she's been around for a long time.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess I would be surprised to see the day that she leaves, but I don't know. Maybe Jon Favreau would take her spot in the future. Yeah.
Overall, I think it's cool that we get somebody overlooking everything from a narrative level. I think that's always a good thing to have somebody have a vision.
Right.
I'm just a little
like you have a showrunner finally.
Right, and I'm just a little nervous. But there was a couple things really quickly that we learned from the article, which was he was saying that Star Wars is slowly planning a return to the big screen, and that the whole franchise is going to have several more TV series. So we're getting Skeleton Crew, which is a coming of age story. Okay. We get The Acolyte, which will be a thriller, and then season 2 of Andor, which I'm excited about. And then he did still confirm that we're getting films by James Mangold, Taika Waititi, Sean Levy, and then Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, who did Miss Marvel, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then he is exploring a possible second season of Ahsoka, which is
a possible.
That's what it says.
Well, okay, so where do all those characters go if you don't do a season 2? Like, what the?
So that's that's where I was like, so maybe that's just like a wink, but if imagine there was never a second season of Ahsoka, that would be crazy.
I genuinely would feel like I wasted my time because that entire first season is set up.
It's just straight up set up, yeah.
Well, okay, there was that one episode with Anakin, but like, other than that, it was all set up. So yeah, that would be really rough. So hopefully that's a wink, because I've heard some rumors that it's like in development, but I don't know.
I'm just saying what the article said.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, that's I think that's our Star Wars news. We're nervous for the future.
Nervous, but I'm also excited.
Not entirely nervous. Right?
Not entirely nervous. But that does lead to the last two things that we're going to talk about. They kind of group into the same thing. The first thing is that we do have confirmation that Nicholas Hoult is our new Lex Luthor in the DCU.
Yes. Was so excited about that. So happy for him, genuinely, because he had missed out on 2 amazing roles, right? Batman and Superman. I think I honestly do believe this is the right casting. I wanted a Lex that was the same age as Bruce. Oh, not as Bruce, as Clark.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, I can see it. I see the bald head. I see it all. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I think it's a cool choice. I really like Nicholas Hoult. I think he plays, especially if you've seen the menu, he can.
I haven't.
Well, he can play a
psychopath.
No. I mean, Lex is definitely a much different character, but he at least can be very mean and self-centered. And I like
that.
And like I've seen him
like the sternness in it.
Right. And like we've seen him, like what we talked about earlier, Mad Max, which is where we first kind of saw him. And obviously,
was that the first movie we saw him in?
I think the vast majority of people, yeah.
Oh, wait, no. First Class was before that, wasn't it?
It might have been.
I think it might have been. Yeah.
And then obviously he played Hank McCoy in the X-Men movies. So he's not like a stranger to like these like genre movies. And I think like I like him. It's when I think of Lex Luthor, I don't necessarily think of Nicholas Hoult, to be honest.
No. He's for sure.
But I do think he could bring the physicality, and I do think he could bring the science aspect, the smarts to it. And he definitely seems a bit more of like a possible nerdy Lex, but still like a nerd that like isn't like a Jesse Eisenberg kind of nerd. He's like
no. It'll be more more balanced, but I feel you. Yeah, I think it will be more like a little more nerdy than like
Yeah.
professional businessman, you know?
Right. And I think it's interesting. Not that I think you should read into like the emojis that James Gunn used, but I do think it's interesting that like the emojis that he used in his Instagram post confirming the casting was like a gene, like a gene helix, microscope, and then like a beaker or of some sort, or like a, you know.
Okay.
So like obviously,
So
like
what do you read into that?
there's a lot of science that this Lex is probably about, and maybe trying to become Superman in some sort of gene sort of way. I don't know, you know, with DNA.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. That's always his goal.
So I think it's a cool casting. I think like, yeah, same age range as David Cornsweet. Like
I still don't know how to say his name.
I don't know how to say his name either.
But yeah, that's the story I like the most is when they grew up together and Lex is jealous of Clark, and that's his entire motivation. It's the best story.
See, I think the growing up together thing, like it could be like that could be fine. I don't need, like, I personally like the idea better of like Lex is obsessed with Superman, not like jealous of Clark.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
I like him being a bit more like jealous of what like a Superman represents, and like all the different fears he has, and like the wants to be that, and you know, so.
Yeah, I guess you would always have to be worried about at that point of like Lex just revealing his identity. But I don't know. I feel like you could be jealous of Clark and be jealous of all of those aspects because you know, like Lex would know exactly what Clark is, you know?
Yeah.
He's smart enough.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah, and then the other casting we got, that's exciting.
Or controversial.
Kind of exciting. Very controversial, I would say. Is
it though? I don't think it is. I think it's fake controversy.
I will agree with you on that. But we got a casting for Maxwell Lord, and that will be Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother.
Right.
He's already confirmed to be voicing Weasel and
G.I. Robot
and Creature Commandos next year. So
and he's played Calendar Man as a cameo in the Suicide Squad.
Yes, but that character isn't transferring over technically, so he's fine. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's an interesting casting. I don't think it's a perfect one. But I think this Maxwell Lord is going to be entirely different from the one we got in Wonder Woman 84.
Absolutely.
That one was obsessed with the Wish Gem or whatever the fuck that was. And and this guy will be, I think, he will be a businessman still, but he will be interested in superheroes and will try and be a friend of the League, and I think will help form the Justice League. I think that's what this Maxwell Lord is going to be.
Right. Yeah,
which makes sense for that actor. Like Sean Gunn, I think is a friendly, like actor face and a friendly role guy. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be like friendly, entrepreneurial, but also kind of like an idiot, somewhat.
Sure. Yeah, because like maybe he inherited all this money. Who knows?
Right. Because just like a kind of very quick summary was that the character was in 1987's Justice League #1. Mm-hmm. And then so like he was a friend. He was a key formation of the Justice League International, which would be great to see. I would love to see a JLI.
That'd be great.
And then he became a villain. And then
he was corrupted by something like in the comics, right?
Yeah, it said like during a crossover event, he's got superpowers when a gene bomb is exploded, and then it triggers Lord's latent metagene, which gives him the ability to control the minds of others.
Wow.
So I don't think
that's a powerful one.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna go there right away, but I think he might be a bit of like a let's say a Agent Coulson of the DCU.
And I don't even think it's going to start off like the first movie, like, you know how Iron Man, the first movie, introduced Coulson. Yeah, yes, they are introducing, like, from what the reports are saying, Maxwell Lord will be introduced in this
or
movie.
Referenced.
Right. Basically, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he will be that little introduced. Like, he might just be like mentioned in the background. Like, he might be on a poster or his business might be somewhere. But I don't think he will be. Yeah, I don't even know if Sean Gunn will star in the movie. So yeah, I think what's exciting about that is that he's clearly planning for the long haul. He has a vision for this whole universe and Superman story and the Justice League story. So yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Sean Gunn is a great actor. At least he was in the trilogy that I watched for Guardians. And yeah, I have no problem with it.
What do you mean by that? At least
I think he played this wonderfully idiotic but charming man very well in Guardians. And yeah, that's all I needed from him in that. And who knows if he has range? Like, I don't know, but he has played Calendar Man, which was very different.
Right. I mean, he's been in like Gilmore Girls, and he's been in a lot of different movies or TV shows and movies where he's playing different roles. All of them are generally, I think, like lovable comedic roles. Like there's like an earnestness to his, like, somewhat being not oblivious, but like just kind of like naive, I guess. Which I think,
does he always have an accent? Is there always like you know how like his character in Guardians has somewhat of an accent?
I think that's kind of his normal voice,
right?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I can see this casting, and I trust that if James Gunn's like, yeah, that's what I want, then it'll probably work out just fine. I think it's cool that we're getting another Maxwell Lord, and I think this pretty much is like, well, we're not getting
well, of
Gal
course we weren't
Gadot.
ever going to get Gal Gadot and Pedro Pascal again.
But there's a lot of quote unquote controversy because they're like, this is nepotism and this is ridiculous.
And every high profile director ever has rehired his favorite actors. So
right. I mean, just for example, a couple that I thought of pretty quickly last night. Scorsese, Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah. You had this Pesci, Joe Pesci. He did a couple, did multiple things with him.
Tarantino with Samuel L. Jackson.
Right. Samuel L. Jackson.
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell. Christopher Nolan with Cillian Murphy and Christian Bale.
Every movie Cillian Murphy's in.
Judd Apatow, literally with like Seth Rogen and James Franco, his wife. And then Tim Burton, he constantly is using the
Johnny
same
Depp.
people.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit ridiculous. And like, I think that like I particularly think that a large amount of this controversy is just coming from the people who don't like James Gunn to begin with, because everybody else in the planet's like, yeah, I mean, whatever. Like, he's literally been in every single one of his movies. So I just like, I'm just like, this is stupid. And like, if I was making movies and my sibling was an actor and I thought that they were good,
right. Of course, I'm gonna write a role and make a role for them. Like, this is it's gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, but Zachary Levi also had something to say about it.
Which I read that, and then I read more about what he said, and I think he was like poking fun but I don't think it was necessarily like mean-hearted, because I read the rest of it and he was like, I would obviously love to be able to work with, like, be on screen with Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern. So there was a bit of like, I think he was poking fun. But and I think he's still like because he was like, well, I guess I guess you get to, if you're the brother of the guy who runs DC, like I guess you get whatever job you want or whatever role you want.
I was like, okay, come on.
Which it's not like he's like Sean Gunn is Batman,
right? Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a pretty like unknown character until like no one heard of Maxwell Lord until Wonder Woman 84. So.
Right. So like even that, I'm just like, so he gets to play a largely unknown character. What?
Right. Oh, cool. Great. A character that usually doesn't have superpowers.
And there is probably never going to be a Maxwell Lord the movie. Like he's not a leading character.
Yeah. Right.
Like it's fine. Yeah. He's always like Sean Gunn's always been a character actor, and it's like
that's a character. Yeah.
I just think it's kind of ridiculous to get upset about it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is always a critic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's all the topics we had for today. We usually do a what do we watch section. I don't know if you want to highlight anything you've watched recently. I haven't watched too much, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's been slow trying to watch a lot of new things that I've been wanting to watch.
Yeah.
And hopefully that'll change. But, I did get to go see Godzilla -1. Even though I had a terrible movie experience, like theater experience. It was a incredible movie. I'm not going to say it's movie of the year. Like some people are like, Godzilla's movie of the year.
Wow.
It's not, but
right.
It is arguably like it's a great movie. Take Godzilla out of it, it's just a great movie.
Wow. Nice.
And Godzilla's like done really effectively, and I think people should go see it because it's fantastic. I've been trying to keep up with Invincible season 2, which has been a lot of fun and really, really fun to watch. Jury's still out how I feel about it compared to season 1. But
now, do I need to watch Adam Eve special before season 2?
No, not so far. There's not really anything, but I do think it enhances her character.
Okay.
And I do think that the Adam Eve special is really, really good.
Yeah. Every time I like go to look at it, I'm like, oh wow, that's like 55 minutes.
It's really good though. Well, so is like an episode of Invincible this season.
Is it really? Wow. Yeah. I didn't know they were that long.
Yeah, they're long.
Wow. Nice.
And then besides that, I started the new season of For All Mankind, which is like really great. I love that. I don't think I finished all the Twilight movies.
Sick.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to I was hoping to get the rewatch of the 9 DC movies that I believe are worthwhile watching. Or not movies, properties, because Peacemaker's also in there. I was trying to finish all those by the end of the year, but my friend Manny has been hard to lock down to watch a movie.
Oh no!
So so we've gotten up to Zack Snyder's Justice League, and watching that again was pretty great. Although it's clearly not like when I watched it the first time, I was like, oh my god, this is like one of the best superhero movies of all time. And I wouldn't say that anymore, but I still think it's a very great like comic book adaptation and does so many great things with the characters. So yeah, that was fun to watch.
Nice.
But yeah, really, I've just been in my like football phase and Survivor phase. I'm weirdly a big Survivor guy.
Interesting.
Yeah, I grew up with it. I watch it every year. It's just a part of me,
That's fun. I actually wish that I watched something like that, because that does sound fun.
I don't know, man. Like it never, like the people never fail to like grow on you, and like I don't know, just the drama is there every year, and like the heartfeltness is there every year. It never fails.
See,
It's
I wish
good.
I knew that, because then I would make time to make sure I watch the newest episode so we can talk about it. So you have like
Bro,
a
that would be
survivor
fun.
buddy,
That'd
right?
be great.
I would be
Yeah.
down, because I
I used to talk about it with Leo, but he stopped watching too.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I also did watch Priscilla, which was also a very good movie, which was the movie about Elvis Presley's wife.
Oh, right. So that was good, huh?
That was really good.
Nice.
Last 15 minutes, a bit rushed, but
Oh, okay. They kind of go through like her entire life or whatever.
no, not her entire
Okay.
life. Just her time with Elvis, and it was really, really good. It was very well done. It was by Sofia Coppola, who is Francis Coppola's daughter, and great soundtrack.
A24 movie, right?
A24. Yeah, it was really good. I think people should watch it, and it's very eye-opening about Elvis.
I'm sure it is. It very much seemed like it. So
it's a bit strange when a 23-year-old starts to date a 14-year-old. So
marry a 14-year-old.
No, they didn't get married until she was about
really
17, 18.
Wow,
that's
okay.
Not that that's any
no,
better.
I'm just saying that's just like what I've always heard. The story is that like Elvis was 24 and she was 14 or something, and they got married. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
They did get married really young, but
right. But she was of legal age at least.
Yeah, marry age. Let's see. Okay. So even further along, Elvis, but it's quite the difference. Elvis was 32 and she was 21.
Yeah, that is a difference. 11 years. So he would have been 25.
He might have been 25.
14.
Yeah, maybe he was
Jesus
25. Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
Elvis, come on, man.
Now I won't spoil the movie, but I will say it's a lot of gray, weird areas, because as much as it is a strange, like, age difference, horror, like really weird, creepy age difference, never had sex until they were married.
What? Wow.
Wanted to keep her like purity. He was a big like Jesus man.
Wow.
Even though like he was having affairs on the side.
Oh. Okay. Well,
very complicated man.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
I'll say that. All right. Well, I'll definitely have to watch it.
It's really good.
Performances are good.
Yeah. And Jacob Elordi, who he turned down the Superman role, which like
so wild.
It's so weird because he said that movie's too dark, yet he plays like this horrible character on
Superman, one of the brightest characters of all time until recently.
He plays this horrible character in Euphoria. And he is also playing Elvis, and then he's also in this movie called Saltburn, which is a super try to go
twisted,
see.
Dark movie. Yeah,
and I'm like, what? What do you mean it's too dark? There's no way it's too dark.
And I also saw an interview where he was saying like, oh, what do you look like? Someone asked him, what do you look for in your next project? And he was like, oh, I just take whatever's given to me. And I'm like, well, clearly not if you're turning down Superman.
Which that's fine if he doesn't want to play him. That's fine.
Sure, yeah.
I'm interested to see what this Superman movie is, but like, there's no way it's darker.
It's not dark
than that.
There's no way.
No way.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's everything we watched in the past month or so, right?
Yeah.
Nice. I got to catch up on movies.
Yeah, me too. And then next week will hopefully be our best and worst of the year.
Yes, we are definitely planning on doing that. I gotta find a time to get down my list.
I'm gonna
because
do
I
that
have a trip I'm going to this week.
Right.
So yeah, I gotta find a time. But I'm very excited to hear your top fives and worst fives of the year for TV shows and movies.
Yep.
It's gonna be a fun time.
Yep.
All right. Well, we appreciate everyone for listening this week. we promise we're wanting to go back to weekly schedules. So expect us to stick around this time.
Yeah.
And if you want to support us, going forward, we release the podcast on Spotify and Podbean and Apple Podcasts. And if you want to follow us on our socials, we are Last Week This Week Pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you want to watch video versions of our podcast when we have them available, we are Last Week This Week Pod on YouTube as well. And if you want to support us one more time, we always appreciate a like, a rating, a comment, a review, or a subscribe.
Yeah. And if you're in the holiday spirit, maybe share this with somebody who might like this podcast. We would love some more ears.
That's all we want for Christmas this year.
Well, okay? All we want for Christmas is more ears.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well,
until next time.